Did you know your business can honor God while transforming lives around the world? Welcome to the IBAM Biblical Entrepreneurship Show, the weekly podcast that inspires and equips Christian entrepreneurs to build sustainable businesses that glorify God and uplift impoverished communities. At IBAM, our mission is built on the three fish metaphor. Give a fish. We provide startup loans to launch businesses. Teach to fish. We offer entrepreneur training for lasting growth, equipped for discipleship. We empower discipleship to multiply impact. Join IBAM's founder, Steve Adams, as he shares powerful solo episodes and expert interviews filled with mentorship insights and real-life stories of how biblical entrepreneurship is advancing the Great Commission. Subscribe now and get ready to be inspired, equipped, and empowered to make an eternal impact.
Hi, this is Steve Adams, founder and president of IBAM, International Business as Mission. Welcome to the IBAM Biblical Podcast. Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about the challenge to movements, the sustainability of the saints. The core purpose of IBAM is to be an accelerator ministry to disciple-making movements worldwide. Okay, we're not the show. They are. They're out there on the front lines. They're reaching people groups who are reached, but they're penetrating deeper into the culture with the gospel, or they're reaching unreached people groups. And these movements ultimately suffer and struggle if they don't solve the local sustainability piece of the model that they're trying to apply, okay? So let me say a couple things. One, movements, what I mean by that is a multi-generational, self-propagating growth of the development of house churches that kind of just multi-generationally, as each group forms, out of that group forms the next one and the next one and the next one. That's what a movement is, okay? It has this aspect of multi-generational to it. Disciple making, obviously, it's helping people first hear the gospel, accept the gospel, become a believer in Jesus Christ, and then become a follower of Him, learning to abide in Him and to obey Him over time. So that's a process. But as one goes through that process, they also look for other people. They pray for people of peace, people who God is drawing to Himself, regardless of the method used. There's many methods, but disciple making is also this idea that I'm going to have spiritual conversations with people that are in my circle of influence, and God's going to bring the people to me that He's drawing to Himself, and I have to be faithful and be prepared to give an answer for the hope that I have. Okay? And that leads to church planting. Now, some of our partners plant traditional churches in a rented facility. Others do house church planting. But this multi-generational nature and this disciple making are hallmarks of the people that we work with, okay? So this work takes us all around the globe. Just in the last month, I've been in Indonesia and I've been in Africa working with our partners. And I met with our partners from Central Asia, in the U.S. of all places. And one of the consistent patterns that we see is how the lack of sustainable income works against the growth of these movements. Okay, we all know if we are in a place where we can barely meet our needs, we go into survival mode and we are just trying to take care of us. And it's very difficult for us to give ourselves away in disciple making toward others, okay? And so, all the way back to the late 2000s, 2006, 7, 8, 9, I was meeting with people in missions as I was kind of exploring, how could I take the experience I have in business and be a blessing to be helpful to missions globally. And what I heard over and over and over were people were giving their lives to Christ and suffering the loss of their jobs. They were being ostracized from their social and family networks. And so this issue of sustainability of that new believer was a huge issue. It's probably been this way since the gospel, right? Since Jesus walked the earth. So this places a lot of pressure on pastors, on movement leadership, not to mention the families who are walking through the suffering themselves. And it can cause people, as I said earlier, to pull back from their involvement in the ministry. Some people even turn away from the faith because of this. All right. And so for some movements, leaders are seeking to place people in key places, in new fields where they're unreached. And these are often rural areas. We especially find this in Africa and Indonesia, and they have little to no job opportunities. And so if they're going to send people in there, they've got to have a reason to be there. And this is where business comes in, where it can come in. Okay, this also works in the cities, but I'm just saying that's a situation that we see presented to us all the time. And so in all these situations, IBAM and its local believer empowerment approach can be a solution. All right, so this is what we do. First, we are usually introduced to someone who's looking for this solution, and so we meet with them, and we partner with organizations that are established, they're official, they're well run. They have a proven history of disciple making in a particular region. They have an expertise with a people group. Some are global and have global capabilities. Okay. Once we get to that point, we'll usually sign a memorandum of understanding so that everybody understands their roles. And we'll work for 18 months to 2 years training this first group of trainers to not only go through the training themselves, sometimes they'll even take loans and go expand their businesses, because usually the first group are all existing business owners who are going to become the first teachers in a region. So we want them to go through it. They pay us back off quickly usually, and we take them through this process where they go through the entire training themselves. Then they take somebody through it that is their disciple in this process of business formation. And when they get to the point where their student is ready to have their loan evaluated, we come in as observers and we work with them in that first time they've ever built a business plan, vetted a business plan, and then actually we walk with them as they run their first loan committee, and then transition them to a coach, and then learn how to work through the problems that happen afterwards. Okay. And so, and then each year that goes by, they spin that wheel over and over, and they get better and better and better. And then we just become more observers and consultants along the way. Okay. I brought my decade or so of experience in corporate banking and taught our team the principles, and now they go out in the field and teach those principles to our partners. Okay. And so the other roles that we have an area director on the ground that's usually an indigenous leader who really is the strategic leader, the visionary that helps move this along. And they usually chair a loan committee and have that firmness of hand. We have an administrator who ensures that all of the trainers follow the process in our proprietary software called Biz Tools. And then we have a fund manager who audits the fund and ties out the balances every month and makes sure that we're accurate in how we're tracking things. Okay. And again, this whole team learns this by just spinning the wheel and running through new groups every year. And then what happens is it's like a movement. Generations of students grow, become trainers themselves, and that spawns the next generation. And the whole thing is we're trying to empower them to do this on their own without us. What's really cool, since we moved to this, our results have improved from about a 40% success rate to now we're looking at approximately 90% of all businesses that have been through our training are thriving, and they are supporting the sustainability of these disciple-making movements. And we're just getting started. We've got some big opportunities in each one of our regions right now, where we are looking at businesses in the box where we could accelerate what we're doing and get some larger scale funding. But for right now, we're just letting our process season. We're identifying what the problems are, we're addressing them and improving the process. And I think in another year or two, when we get a little bit more increase in numbers and we can have a bigger data set, I think we're going to be ready to go much faster. But right now we're going slow, so we can go fast later. But anyway, this is what IBAM does. This is how we come alongside our partners, how we accelerate their visions by bringing sustainability to our partners. All right, thank you. I hope it was helpful and encouraging.
Thank you for listening to the International Business as Mission podcast, a space where we explore how to build businesses rooted in biblical principles that create global impact. But we're not just here to talk. We're taking action to spread entrepreneurship to poverty-stricken communities around the world. Our mission is to be the catalyst that empowers people to build sustainable livelihoods and break the cycle of poverty. We follow the 3 fish principle. 1, give a fish, providing startup loans to empower entrepreneurs. 2, teach to fish, offering entrepreneurial training for sustainable business practices. And 3, equip for disciple making, building a community that supports spiritual growth alongside business success. This is life-changing work, but we can't do it alone. We need passionate impact partners like you to join us on this mission by becoming a donor. Your generous gift will directly fund the establishment of new businesses that provide dignified work and hope. Just imagine your donation could help a single mother in rural Africa start a small farming venture that allows her to feed her children and send them to school, or a young man in Southeast Asia to launch a small business. Breaking the chains of generational poverty. This is the power of entrepreneurship as a force for good. Will you join us in unleashing it? Go to ibam.org now to start impacting lives through the transformative power of business as mission. Together we can create a world of flourishing.